Welcome back. This is going to be episode 7 of how to 3D print an aeroplane. This tutorial where we're currently working through the Fusion designs, and then once we're ready to start printing, I'll also carry on walking you through how to set your slicer settings and how to print the aeroplane, and then we'll put it together and hopefully go and fly it. Last time we did the motor cowling front here and how we're going to house the motor. Still lots to do, but I'm trying to work through it in a methodical way so that we don't have to go back on ourselves. Today, all we're going to do, I think, is set the wing up for printing here. Now, I've just started printing with lightweight PLA, and I think it would be pretty cool if this airplane could also be printed from it. And I think there's just a few things that you need to bear in mind when printing with lightweight PLA that you maybe don't need to with normal PLA. So as we go through, if we sort of reach any points where I think we might need to change something in order to print it with lightweight PLA, I'll mention it. The other thing, there's different ways of printing things and making your wings. You can print them as a solid body and use the infill to support the wings, or you can spend the time building your own spars and formers and things like that in the wings. And I'll maybe have some discussion on why I tend to pick the former. First thing I noticed is that when we changed the shape of the fuselage in the last episode, the wing is currently sticking out the bottom a little bit. I don't think it's a problem, but just to make it look a little bit neater, I'm just going to grab all of this stuff and we're going to move it. We're not going to move it far. But I think it's just a little bit low at the moment. So 10 mil, that looks like that. About 8, 7. Six, 5. Okay, right, back up to 7, I think. Okay, cool. There we go. So what we're going to do is, one of the things that you'll need to do when printing with lightweight PLA, I think with any wing that's going to have any real force on it, would be to put a spar in it. And even with normal PLA, I think this wing, because it's going to have the wheel on the end of it, is going to need a spar. So that's what we're going to do. So I did, by the way, start working in some components after someone pointed out to me sort of how you could use them. And so my wheel assembly is now a component, so maybe we'll start using a little bit of that. I also put a joint in to see how the wheel would move, and I've also printed this as well. I'll post a photo on Instagram so you can see how it looks and how it moves. Right, anyway, on with the wing. So I'm going to put fuselage away for now, and we're working on the Canard here. There's an old Canard here, that was the one that was in the wrong place. So I'm just going to move that out of the way. Into tools, and so that's the right Canard, and this is the left one. I don't know why, but for some reason I find it easier to work on this side, so I'm going to work on this side and then we'll copy it. So I'm going to isolate that part and then just bring up the surrounding bits that we need, which is good. Looks like that. Now, the spar is going to run from here down to here, and I want it to go into this wheel part as well so that it can take some of the forces, upward forces from the wheel in contact with the ground. So, what I'm going to do is create a sketch. I'm just going to put it on the side here. And the sketch is going to be of a spar. Now, you can use whatever size you want. I happen to have 8mm carbon tubes hanging around, so I'm going to make this a diameter of 8.5mm. Right, and then go and find it, and I need to see the sketches again, and I'm just going to extrude, and I'm just doing this first to make sure that we get a proper round tube. Now, 500mm, because I've got a metre of it and I want to use it twice, and it's actually pretty expensive. I think it's about £10 for a metre at my local hobby shop. Okay, now obviously that's not in the right position at the moment, so we're going to move it. Rotate, we need to select an axis, so best thing to do is just bring the origin back up, and that axis. Now, 5 degrees as a starting point is probably pretty good. I think the wing was, when we put the dihedral in, it was 5 degrees. Yeah, so I'm going to go 5.5. Okay. Translate. Okay. Another translate. And I'm going to place the end of the spar toward the front of the wing there. Looks good. Alright, and then we need to do another move. This time another rotate around this axis. Eight. Yeah. Okay, so if I move the spar, it's going to need me to do about 3 or 4 different moves at the moment. So I'm going to leave it where it is. I'm just going to isolate it, and I'm going to extrude from here. So extrude 30mm. Oh, no. There, and I'm just going to remove 30mm off the other end. Okay, bring this back in. Alright, good stuff. So that puts a carbon spar running through our wing. And if you need to look inside something, you can change the opacity of it. Sometimes you might need to take away the appearance that you've put on, though, which is why it's not letting us see through it at the moment. Right, so there's the wing. I reckon we can afford for it to come down a tiny little bit. You could move it around the wing if you needed to find a thicker part of wing as well. So translate, and I'm going to go -5, too much, -2.5, yeah, that's good. Just take a look, make sure it's not sticking out anywhere. No, it's not, that looks good. Okay, we don't want to cut with it just yet because this is sticking out and we don't want that to happen, so just going to this is the part that I'm going to print separately and add on to the end of the wing, so if we can keep the carbon rod coming into it, it'll give us something to position it on and something to keep some strength there. So that looks alright. We've managed to stay in a little bit. So that was a 20. I think that might be a bit too fine, so we'll go 20. Oh dear. I made a mistake there, so I'm going to come back down the bottom, edit feature, and change it to there we go. Just for my own benefit, I'm going to add 20 onto the end. So I'm not quite using the full meter spar. We're going to need to trim a little bit off. Because that's 500mm there, so there'll be 500mm on the other side as well. Now, we need to cut that hole out. So I've made my diameter 8.5, and that is to allow for some expansion in the PLA, so you don't quite get the spatial, I can't remember what the word would be I'm looking for, accuracy, I suppose. You might find that that doesn't work for your printer, in which case you need to do a little bit of trial and error, but I've basically allowed 1/2 mil, which works out both sides to be 1 mil, so that should allow for some inaccuracies. Now it's time to cut it out. So, do combine. This is, somebody pointed this out to me from one of the YouTube videos. I would normally do a split body and it would make me all kinds of angry. Oh dear. Will it let me select more than one target body? No, it won't. Okay. Alright. Let's see if this is going to work. It would work as one whole thing, but you can do a combine, tool body there, and do a cut. Keep tools. And then we do the same again. Alright, it's already cut through that one, I think. And then we can check that everything's gone how we planned. Let's rename this, which is Canard Spar 8mm. And it's no longer there. A hole. Cool. And I suppose this is as good a time as any to split the tip. beneficial. I'll rename that. And then get rid of it for a sec. Yeah, there we can see, got the hole. Perfect. So something I've noticed is so I haven't at the moment made the holes that we need to run in here into the wing for the hinge line to meet into, so that's something that we need to do as well. So that's currently going to give us a spar all the way through. We still haven't figured out what we're going to do up here, if we're going to have the wing mounted onto the airplane or if the wing's going to be in two parts. So that is definitely worth having a little think about. So I think in terms of portability, definitely be more portable to have two separate wings, this one and this one, that can come off. And we could do that by putting in a 10mm carbon rod in here, and then we'd have a carbon rod extension that slides in, and then some kind of fixing under the wing. Or we could make the wing a single piece and chop the fuselage here, and then the fuselage kind of sits on the wing. That's maybe option 2. And I think whatever option we're going to go with here, we need to probably copy up here. I think it would be better on this airplane to be able to have each wing separating. I think also there's a higher chance with landing that we're going to break a wing, and then that way you only need to print one. So I think we'll set about doing that. So some things I'm going to think about then. If this part of the wing is going to remain connected to the fuselage, then we need to blend it somewhere to make it easier to print, or split the fuselage such that they can be a join to the build plate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the screencast and have a little think about how I do this, so you don't just get 10 minutes of blank. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to have each wing able to... Oh no, I've just thought about something as soon as I started talking. I thought I'd had a plan. Yeah, okay, I've still got a plan. We're going to have each wing able to detach from the front, and we're going to have a carbon spar running into the fuselage, which will go inside a larger carbon tube to house it, and maybe a second carbon, like a 3mm spacer at the back here, just to put it. What I've just realised we're going to have to do is we're going to have to add in a bit of wing along here, otherwise we have to reattach the aileron every time we do it, but that's not a problem. So I'm just going to work on this side, and we're going to copy it over here later. So first of all, let's do this wing issue. So I want as much as I can without actually hitting the fuselage. So it's a 7mm piece. Yeah, okay, that's good. And then we need to split that there. Okay, cool. So this part is going to end up being attached to the fuselage and combined, but I don't want to combine it now, because then when I shell fuselage, that's going to shell inside this bit as well, and we're going to need this bit to have infill to hold our carbon tube. Great. So right, I'm going to find this bit. it for a bit so I can find it. And I'm going to isolate. And I'm going to make a sketch on here. I actually want to make this hole larger, but I have concerns that if we sketch on here we don't get a circle. So if we find the spar there, right, so actually let's cancel that sketch, open this bit, put the sketch on here, we know that's perpendicular to the spar, that's 8.5. So I now want another 2mm on top so I can fit my 10mm spar in there. So I've got 2.1, 2.2. Great. Finish sketch. Get rid of my spar and cut through that. So that's where our aileron goes in. That's where our 10mm spar is going to be housed. I didn't notice actually how much we're going to have. Let's just measure the distance between there and there. So we're going to have 6 centimetres. So that's not a great deal. But if we can make this part really strong, I think it will be fine. And we're also going to have some kind of connection to make sure that the wing stays in place. Okay. Alright, let's unisolate, and I'm going to deal with the fuselage for a minute. So tidy this up. What I need now is I need a construction plane that basically touches the back of the wing here. I'm kind of doing this by eye, but we can definitely make it a little bit easier for ourselves. That's pretty good. 32.5 minus 32.5. Awesome. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is split that bit with the new plane. Did that catch anything? It did, just the very, very back of it. Which is great because you're not going to notice it in real life, but it assures that anything touching this plane is in line with this, and so when we print it, that will be touching the print bed, and that means that it's not going to have to put supports there. So that's going to go to my tools because I don't need it anymore, and then I'm going to bring the fuselage back, and then I'm going to split the fuselage using that. This bit and this bit are separate, but I need them to be together for now, so I'm just going to combine them. Great. I'm going to isolate that piece. Right, so on the front of that is going to be the firewall and then the cowling. And if you remember on the last episode, I added in this little split because I said when we shell this area here, we want I want to be able to get 2mm of solid plastic at the bottom when we print this. And in order to do that, I've added in the firewall. We're going to rejoin that in a moment, but first of all, we're going to shell this bit here. And I'm going to make it 1mm. So now we have 1mm all the way around, and an end piece that's 1mm, and then a firewall that was another mil, so I can get a 2mm thick part on the bottom. And that's going to be my firewall that I house my motor onto. If we were to print this as I normally do, you'll have a 0.4mm shell around the outside, 0.4mm on the inside, and then just 0.2mm of infill. Usually I do 1.2, make it a little bit thicker, but I think we're going to get some structural rigidity elsewhere on this piece, so I'm not particularly worried about it. That bit there has come about, I guess from a cutout, but that's not a problem, because what I'm now going to do is bring back my body join. Just something we need to do with that body join first. Okay. Now, this is going to be joined onto this piece and printed with this print bed here, and so it's going to print all this up here, and then we'll insert our 10mm tube into there. We're going to need to do a cutout again, I think. That's fine. Yeah. What I don't want is all this space at the bottom, because that's just extra walls. I'd rather have strengthening infill in here rather than all this, but that is something that we can add in a moment. Okay, cool. Right. So what do I need to do next? I need to copy this piece over, because I'm going to be working with it. So go mirror this piece. That does that bit on me actually. Mirror. Okay, there we go. And then I want to seal that up. I don't want it to be separate. Fill this gap in. One way you might be able to do it is to patch here and then make a slice through and put a patch at the other end, then delete the inside walls and stitch the patches on. Maybe I'll show you how to do that later, but it's not really working at the moment how I wanted it to work. What I wanted to do was just be able to sweep a solid through to the other side, join it, and then you'd have this whole area being solid. Essentially that's going to reduce weight and print time, so that is something I'll do, but I think for now I'd quite like to move on. So going to see if we can one thing we can do now that we've shelled the body is this firewall no longer needs to be a separate piece. So back to the solid workspace, combine, that's the target body, that's the tool body, join, there we go. And there we have a section that we can print. Okay, still a few things we need to do, such as chopping that out. So carbon spar, the 8mm one is there. We're going to need the 10mm one. Did we make a 10mm one? Not a problem. We will isolate this. I'm going to create a sketch. put it 0.5. 10.5. And finish the sketch. Going to bring back in the piece of fuselage that we've been working on, which is the nose. Now I don't want to cut all that way, I just want to make sure it's long enough at the moment. So then I'm going to get rid of the nose, say OK. Then I'm going to, split this body using center there. So get rid of that one, and I'm going to mirror that piece like that, and then I'm going to join the two bits together. This is making a tool basically, and then we'll bring the nose up. We'll combine that one, cut. Super. Okay. So that does bring up an interesting point that I thought that was meant to be 10. Okay, we'll check that out. Okay, so we're going to have two outer parts of a spar. That's going to give it strength, and then in and out of that we'll slide the wing, which will have the 8mm spar buried in it. This point here is a line for the aileron hinge. However, that is unlikely to be used because we're going to try and make the wing be built here with the aileron in. So the aileron hinge is only going to have 63mm, I think, to get into. Done what I wanted to do, but I wasn't recording because I was trying to play, and the main problem is I don't know how to undo it. But if I just, what I did was I split it, cut a bit out, cut the inside walls out, and then patched it all back up, and then I've got a functioning piece. I did have to split the nose up though, and now I'm going to rejoin it back into the solid workspace. If I need to do that again, I'll try and record it so that you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to have to do a section analysis. Let's go. Take away that one. If I start from here and I roll back, you'll see there's a little bit where there's a hole, but then for the most part it's just a solid part of the fuselage now. All the way back. Okay. So that is essentially, so far, the wing join. Still going to be room in there as well for a battery and things, and more importantly, we've got a nice strong basis for our collars to go. Carrying on with the wing then, I'm going to join these bits back up. And the next thing that we'll need to do on this Canard is we need to do the installation of a servo, and we're going to need to run some servo wire runs up into the fuselage so that we can plug them in. And then we need to section the fuselage and then see if we need to add any strengthening joins. I said that I was going to talk about how I tend to do wings. You can spend a long time putting the formers in yourself. I've done this, and My honest opinion is that it's not worth the time. The infill that you get if you use a cubic infill is really strong, and whilst it may not be exactly where you'd put it if you were choosing to put it, I find that the weight difference and the strength difference is negligible, and the amount of time you put into it is considerable, and the chance of prints failing, in my opinion, tends to go up. So personally, I'm not one for mapping out all the structure of your wing. However, it's totally something you can do. The same goes for the fuselage. I've done it where I've run a geodetic ribs all the way around. It took a huge amount of time, and it was heavier than just having a small amount of infill between two walls. My personal opinion. So we're finally at the stage where I've got this solid piece here inside. This is all one piece. So when we print, the 10mm rod that goes in there is going to have something to hold on to. More important for lightweight PLA, but you know, you still want to make sure everything's nice and strong. And then the 8mm rod will insert into there, but then we're going to need some kind of fixing. Just trying to think about where I'm going to put the aileron servo. It's probably going to go around here, so I'm thinking if the fixing can go up near the spar where it won't be in the way. Let's bring up the Canard itself. So if we can have the servo going around here, the Canard fixing somewhere up here would probably be a good idea. Let's have a go. I've not done this before, so it's fairly new. So I'm going to start by making a construction plane down there, and I'm going to do some sketches on it. I want to see it from the bottom though, because it would be pretty ugly on the top. And let's set about drawing some lines. Something like I like it when it will catch onto that, but it's not doing it right now, so I'm just going to make the line a little bit longer than it needs to be, and then I do 90 degrees. So if we could cut out a part like that, we could then have fixing points, we could screw it in basically. So that's kind of where I'm going with this. Now, to cut this out is tricky. We could easily do an extrude and cut out the hollow, but we want to keep the piece that we cut out basically. So that we can have something that is going to do our fixings. Let's try something then. Let's try making a box. So I'm into surface mode now. So it's probably only just gone in. Let's go 45mm. Okay, and then we're going to isolate this body. I don't know if this is going to work. Patch on the top, stitch it together. Alright, let's see if this works. Can we unisolate? Can we split this body using that? I think we can. Let's try the same on this bit. So make sure you haven't got the face, make sure you've got the whole piece. All right. Cool. All right. So seems to have worked in that we have a piece cut out. Let's make that bit and that bit. One bit. And let's isolate it and have a little look. So we've cut a chunk out, which is just in front of the... Now from here we can change the size of it quite easily, I think. But alright, cool. So let's just get rid of that. So at the moment I'd say that's probably a bit big. Well actually no, it's still 5mm, it's okay, isn't it? Yeah, that's probably okay. Right, let's have a look then. So we got a nose and we need the Canard inboard. There we go. Put that up to here. Ring joining piece. So the plan would be that you'll slot the wing together and then you'll put your wing joining piece in and put in a couple of screws, I suspect. It's probably the easiest way to do it. And then there we go, and no one will ever know. And then we're going to have the aileron servo in the wing here, and then we'll just, when you might put it in, you'll feed the wire through. So removing the wing joining piece, making a sketch. If you make a 2mm, So I'm kind of thinking that most of the forces that's going to go through the wing will go through the spar. I suppose one thing we could have done is we could move this to actually go onto the spar, and then you can put the screws through the spar. That's not going to work here, but this bit might work. Yeah, that's a good idea. Alright, let's just back up a second. Bring our 10mm spar back. Can we? Let's try this out. Alright. Okay. See, this goes. No, it's not moved our cut. So just undo that. need to go back to the original sketch and move the sketch. So that's the 10mm spar there. So now, if we drill through these bits here, put a hole here, we can go through the 10mm spar and into the 8mm spar, and then the spar's definitely not coming out. In fact, doing that, we probably don't even need this cutout anymore. Yeah, probably don't even need this cutout anymore. We just have a hole that screws up, and that puts the screw through the two spars. One spar's glued in, the other spar's then held in nice and tight. Okay, so let's join up a bit, and then split it. Okay, there we go then. So we've set down one road and come up with a completely different plan, but actually I think it's probably a better plan. Whereby essentially we're having the carbon hold the wing together rather than the plastic. Oh, so we're 2mm to start with. 5mm on the top. Okay, finish the sketch. Okay. Or actually, let's go back. Go new body for now. And then likewise on here. body. Okay, and then you'll see the reason for that in a moment. It saves us having to make it all twice. Try and get both of them. Okay, and then we just do a combine. I'll keep the tools for that in case you want to change it. Cool, that should hold the wing together. Oh man, well, this has proved to be a lot longer than I was expecting. So I think we're there though for this bit. I think the final thing we'll do is just see how we section the wing, the canard. So let's just bring up the canard on this side. In terms of cutting it up, this is going to need to be an endpoint, and we want it to start at the beginning here. So we just start making some construction planes. Let's go. We'll go 200. Oh, do you know what? That'll do actually. I think we've already got a split there. Yeah, great. So canard tip is there, and then we can split the wing here. Join those two bits together. Why didn't that work? Oh, it did work. Okay. Nope, didn't work. What's going on? Oh, do you know what? I think I've got an extra piece. Yeah, I've got an extra piece hanging around. Okay, and then we just need to split the elevator at a suitable point as well. I should think actually that would be fine. The elevator's not going to add anything structurally to the wing, so it's okay to put the split in the same place. Yeah, that is a wing that you could then print basically and attach. We'll copy all that over onto the other side, and that is the canard. So I suppose we still need to do aileron controls in there, but structurally I think the canard